Final word daily. What a bizarre day of cricket. We say that a lot on this trip. And in a kind of day of high farce, Ben Stokes has managed to pull his hamstring. New Zealand set England a small target of 658. England remain 640 behind. But I'm Cameron Ponsonby. I'm joined by Jeremy Coney. I'm going to give that a more detailed summation in 30 seconds, starting in...
Whack!
Day starts. It's raining. Nothing's happening. It's grey. It's dank. It's horrible. What are we going to do today? Are we going to see any cricket? We do see cricket. We see New Zealand bat and bat and bat and bat and bat. And quite right too, because in a series where Joe Root has reverse ramped his way to 100, in a series where Rachin Ravindra and Daryl Mitchell have been getting a bit of chirp from the England players, this was New Zealand's chance to stick two fingers up to England and go, you field all day. We know 500 is enough. We know 550 is enough. But you keep on bowling. Kane Williamson got 150. I'm going to be honest, I genuinely forgot he did that until I looked up and checked, because it was a tame day of cricket where the main news line is, despite nothing happening, Ben Stokes has managed to pull the same hamstring he'd injured before. He's off. It's a concern. New Zealand are going to win. We'll come back tomorrow. I'm going to make it more exciting. All your reflections on the day. Can I just start with that question? My takeaway from this was New Zealand going, F you England, stay out there.
The centrepiece for me was obviously Williamson. Getting to the 100, yes. But some of the strokes I thought between 100 and 150 were just class.
Wonderful.
Going over the top of a cover and just on a pitch that wasn't entirely easy. And just lifting it over the top of fieldsmen and finding gaps and so on. So, and then Ravindra also having to battle himself.
Oh my goodness,
I felt,
yeah.
Letting the ball go, trying to stay in a little longer before he got himself out. So getting that 40, and the rest of the innings really was 4s and 6s, I thought.
Yeah, it was indeed.
Lots of them. And then pushing on, for my mind, just a little bit long. I would have thought that they could have had maybe 12, 13 overs and have enough for 3 bowlers who could each have a sort of a spell.
Yep.
And that would have given O'Rourke, instead of 1 over, it might have given him 4 overs and maybe another wicket. Who knows?
I basically thought New Zealand were of the opinion that England, this is your punishment. You stay there. And Kane Williamson, he batted beautifully, but there was no... I didn't feel he was at any point ever challenged. I was not surprised when he got to 100. I went, yes, that is what was going to happen today. He's kind of batting at an intensity and a level that England's kind of mirrored lack of intensity. Kind of, that's what happens when you put together one person who's very good versus someone who's not as good. The good person succeeds.
Yeah, it did look, as if the English bowlers were very, very heavy-legged and fatigued, actually, and slowly they went down one by one. And so we were left with Bashir being the heart of the bowling, and then Brooke and Bethell and Root and Bethell and Brooke. It just went on, didn't it? And so it seemed a bit weird.
If you want a summation of today, look at Joe Root's figures. He's bowled 1 over, 1 for 17. That's kind of what happened. So part of the reason the day went this way was for from an English point of view, the main news line of the day.
Will be Stokes, won't it?
Ben Stokes. So
news.
He's only in the 3rd over of his day today when he pulls his hamstring. It's not as dramatic as when he did it in the 100 when he had to be helped off. But he grimaces. He's kind of putting on a brave face. He's immediately walking off. And then as soon as he got to the dressing room, one of the other journalists saw it. When the cameras weren't there, it became a bit more of an exaggerated limp, which isn't too surprising. He's being assessed. He might bat, he might not bat. I'd be surprised if he did bat. But from that point onwards, Cast didn't bowl. There were another 50 overs in the innings. Cast didn't bowl. No. Atkinson didn't bowl. No. Bashir was just told to keep going. Matthew Potts, Harry Brook had a bowl, whereas basically England realised the game's done here. We don't want to hurt any more of our players. The question you could put to England... They rotated Chris Woakes for Matthew Potts. They did have Ollie Stone on the bench. Ahead of this test match, Stokes himself was like, they're tired? Sorry.
No, I just wondered about the workload of Stokes moving into this test.
Exactly.
He hasn't bowled a huge amount of overs in this series.
And he
suddenly bowled a lot here as the 4th seamer. and maybe he was up with Potts, the number of overs he was bowling, and that I wonder whether the leg was able to cut well. Was that one of the reasons?
So I've got
the heavy workload this test.
I've got some wonderful numbers for you. On day one, Stokes bowled 23 overs. That is the most he's ever bowled in a single day in his entire career.
There you are.
This test match, he has bowled 36.2 overs. Since his knee surgery, he'd never bowled more than 19 overs in a match. And I'm feeling quite relieved, actually, because I wrote and we spoke about it on the show on day one, where it was like, yes, Stokes has bowled the overs, but you can't really get excited about someone coming back until they've recovered from the overs. That's part of the equation.
Absolutely.
And the big question mark for kind of England now isn't necessarily when Stokes going to be fit again. He'll get fit for the summer. He's got 5 months till the next test match. He might miss SA20, where he's got an £800,000 contract. That's a shame for him. He won't go to the Champions Trophy almost definitely now. But can he be relied upon to be a fourth teamer in the England team? That's such a crucial part of
course,
the setup for
looking
England.
forward. But I would also ask you, how fit are the other bowlers? I mean, because they were Potts bowled about 35 overs perhaps, and Atkinson was about 31, and Cast was less because he had the
quite right,
feet
exactly.
problem. But how fit are they for? Look, you're going to go to. Everyone talks about Australia and the Ashes, for of course that attracts the attention, but they are harder pitches, they are harder footholds. You know, the whole thing is just a lot harder.
Well, exactly. On that note, basically, Stokes and England have always spoke about they want this arsenal, they want this battery of fast bowlers, and they've kind of been building it. But we've had this series, our third test in a row. Stokes had said after Wellington, because of the wind, that actually the overs on the scorecard, there actually was more. It felt like they'd put in more of a workload. So it's third test in a row. Atkinson, since he made his debut for England earlier this year, has bowled more balls than he had in the entirety of his career beforehand. Bryden Cast has bowled more overs for England in the last 5 matches than he had in the previous 2 seasons for Durham. So these guys have been fresh or injured or not selected for their domestic team, and they're bowling more than they ever have at this point in time. And so you're seeing them quite tired, basically. And because they're a bit more tired, Stokes is bowling more. And because Bashir wasn't needed in the first innings, Stokes was bowling more again. You've basically had a bit of a recipe for disaster where your talisman has gone down pulling his hamstring.
Yep, well, it's going to be something they're obviously aware of, and they'll need to do something about prior to the Ashes.
I want to ask you about Rachin Ravindra, because you mentioned kind of battling himself today.
Yes, he did.
Kane Williamson. We know the quality of Kane Williamson. Him scoring 100 is obviously something to be enjoyed, but it's not something that surprises you. Ravindra, I think he's kind of reminded me of someone I fancy, but haven't had a chance to spend enough time with him. He's always going off early. I'm like, I want to watch you bat. You're so beautiful. I want to enjoy this. He's kind of, quote unquote, thrown away a lot of innings this series.
He has.
And today, he was on 3 of 27, and it felt like he was really trying to dig in and not throw it away, but to almost his own detriment, because he seemed out of sorts.
Yeah, he did look out of sorts for a while, but he was determined that he wasn't going to throw it away again. It was a case of, whether someone has spoken to him or he's worked it out for himself, but he's fighting that natural instinct, which is to hit the ball. He wants to do that. But it's kind of sometimes on pitches like this, which are a bit up and down and they're a wee bit too paced, and you have to learn to let the ball go in Test cricket. And that's what he was kind of almost practicing. You know, and so relearning those kinds of skills in order to last long enough, so he's enabled, therefore, to play his attacking game. And I think that's what we saw today. He lasted for a while, and then suddenly he opened up again, didn't he? And the sun shone for a moment or two, and then he was out again all of a sudden. So it's not the full story. We're getting kind of the first few chapters of a book. And maybe we'll see the development of that narrative as he goes on, as far as Test cricket is concerned. If he wants to bat 4, that is, he might be happier down at 5 or 6. But at 4, you're expected to be a real run production man. And he hasn't given that to us. In India and in Asia, the ball doesn't bounce as much. That's down lower, and he can play these sorts of shots. He's not getting caught at gully. He's not getting caught in an area over here. He's attacking much more, and he can get away with that. You can't when it bounces a bit more.
Can I just ask a general New Zealand opinion question? So today, from overs 50 to 100 of New Zealand's innings, you had Bashir getting bullied to a certain extent bowling. I think his figures were 31 overs, 2 for 170. You had Jacob Bethell kind of plugged into bowl because, again, England were like, we're not bowling any more seamers. We're done with that. Is this a day where New Zealand sit back and go, job well done, or was it a case of the match was on autopilot and they were just extending their lead kind of for the sake of it?
Second one.
Got ya.
Second one. Definitely that. They were a bit on autopilot, and that was kind of like a practice to them, I think, to be honest. And I'm not trying to demean England in any way about that. I'm just thinking that they were going to push ahead as much as they could. As I said, it was 6s and 4s after Williamson, and the Ravindra part was a bit more interesting.
Yeah.
But after that, it was, have a hit.
It will be, I think England are going to have...
England look as if they might do that as well.
Oh, my goodness me. Before we move on to the final, however many overs it was today, England's innings, which was a snapshot of what we should expect tomorrow, I would say.
Is it?
I think just a bookmark, just to say that we've mentioned it, England are going to have like a conversation about Bashir and his development at some point.
Yeah.
He bowled fantastically well when he arrived and played away to India, and far beyond anyone's expectations. The hope and the kind of not the expectation, but the hope for Bashir is he's going to develop into a bowler who can succeed in Australia on the bouncy of pitches with his height. He's had a very tough winter, and the amount of time for him to kind of continue to develop the way England want, ticking a little bit. We'll see what's happening, but...
Well, they're giving him chances, aren't they?
Yes.
And that's I suppose what they see, they like it.
Yeah.
They like the bounce. They like a little bit of drift.
Yeah.
They like his height. And they think that those things, that characteristic, will go well over in Australia. He at the moment isn't accurate enough.
No, correct.
And that's why they're playing him. They're giving him overs. They're finding out what fields work for him and so on. And can he get a catch at slip? And can he beat a man in the air? And I mean, so it's not a finished product by any amount. But
why would it be?
What else do they have?
And that's exactly the question. We were scratching our heads in the press box going like, so if it doesn't work with Bashir, who do they go to?
Well,
like they go like, you just revert to Jack Leach? It feels like England aren't going to do that.
No.
But why would he was playing club cricket 2 years ago. They've literally taken a punt on a guy who hadn't played any first class cricket or hardly, and we're all expecting him to kind of bowl to a certain level, which he's not been able to do this winter. Best of luck to him. Let's see what happens next.
Yeah.
So, the snippet of the end of the day, England finished 18 for 2, which is not the best start when you're chasing 658, which is a lot. It's more than 1,000, that.
Yeah.
Loads.
It's a lot.
Ben Duckett dismissed, charging down the wicket, having a big old hack, loses his off stump, and then Zach Crawley dismissed for a 6th time in as many innings to Matt Henry, and gives old umpire Adrian Holstock a hell of a spray on his way off. I think Matt Henry won that battle between those two over the course of the series. Is that a fair assessment?
Well, he bowled a couple of overs at Crawley. He went on the inside edge once, the first ball, I think. He went on the outside edge a couple of times. He hit the pad, but because Crawley had shimmied down the wicket a bit, he got away with that one. It was going over, even though the umpire had given it out. He continued to do that, and... Well, I think the decision was fair. It was lower. It was hitting below the knee roll, the second one. I was surprised, actually. It only was just touching the leg stump. I thought it was going to hit the leg stump quite hard. So he didn't agree with that, of course, as he left.
He's got to be a little bit careful.
Don't.
He's got to be a bit careful there, because Crawley had a spray at an umpire in India as well. I can't remember if he got it at level 1 or something, but... It's the second time it's happened now, and something I just enjoy from a kind of slightly dark humoured point of view. Crawley was given out to Matt Henry 7 times in 6 innings this series, which isn't a good record. It's not what you want. Anyway, it's been New Zealand's day. It will almost definitely be New Zealand's match unless something genuinely incredible happens tomorrow. But we're going to be back in 2 seconds with the Hall of Fame. Hey, we're back.
You love it. Something about that.
We've only got one more of these reads. We've got this one, then we've got tomorrow, and then I'll be amazed. I'll be amazed.
Bed and get some sleep
if we get to day 5 here. But hey, it's final word daily even. Day 3 in Hamilton is brought to you by This Is Hypnobirthing. This Is Hypnobirthing is Rach, Adam's wife's new business after she trained as a hypnobirthing teacher. Do you know about hypnobirthing? No, probably not, but it's fine. Don't worry about it, because we've got everything you need to know here. Crucially, long story short even, is everything you need to know. I've already said that bit, but how's it going to giving birth feeling calm, positive, and prepared for anything. Based in North London, but can teach online or anywhere around the world. There's no fluffy stuff, no incense burning. It's just straight talking, evidence-based learning to help you feel calm, clued up, and in control. That's just as much for the birth partner as it is the person giving birth. Just ask Adam. He's nuts about it. And if this does sound like something you or a friend of yours might be interested in, make sure to get in touch at This Is Hypnobirthing on Instagram or email at hello@thisishypnobirthing.com. For the second last time, I'm now done and we can move on with the show.
Well done.
I heard Rachel's Instagram page after we'd started reading that. It's gone up by 1 million followers.
Really?
1 million, yeah.
Good.
I think that's a rough estimation. I haven't checked.
Rough.
I haven't checked. But I think it's somewhere around there.
Round the mill.
Right. Hall of Fame. Do you want to kick us off or I can go?
No, I will start it with the new ball generally is quite an important asset to a fielding side.
Crucial.
And so you choose the person to use it very carefully. And today, when Harry Brooks stepped up,
He's a good bowler.
yeah, got a wicket. He's got a test wicket. And who was it?
It was Kane Williamson
Correct.
at Wellington.
Correct. Well done.
I know these things.
Yeah. So seeing him bowl and use the new ball with a slightly
Horrible.
action before the front foot comes down, the arm comes over, and that was my little moment because it was so Brookian.
It was wonderful.
Yeah.
I remember being really relieved when he came on the scene last year, and he was scoring all these hundreds, and he was all right, mate. Like, just leave something for the rest of us.
Yeah.
And I saw him bowl for the first time, and he was bowling off the wrong foot. I was like, that's it. That's where your failures is. That looks terrible. And I got reminded today, he bowled like the 15th over in the first Ashes Test match last year. He was briefly going to be England's like secret.
Oh, really?
plan.
Weapon.
Yeah, secret weapon. Hasn't worked, but it's fine.
No.
Started with a bouncer. That was fun. Not of the new ball. My Hall of Fame moment was, so unsurprisingly, the crowd today was getting a little bit impatient at times when they're going, why are we still batting New Zealand?
Yeah.
We've got such a big lead, and a wicket would fall, and these lads who were tanked up near the dressing rooms would start chanting like Southie,
right.
like,
Yep.
come on, we want to see our lad Tim.
Yeah.
And eventually, he didn't
emerged.
come out. He didn't come out. He even didn't come out. He basically came out at 10.
Yeah.
Kind of when he should have done. But before he came out, the chants got a little bit louder, and they were joined in by one Brendan McCullum.
Oh, really?
Sat in the dugout, and he was clapping his hand, going Southie, and it was lovely. And out Southie came. He did not reach 100 sixes in Test cricket. I reckon he'll get over it. He'll be right. He got Ben Duckett out. That's fine. Right. New Zealand lead by 640 runs. That's a lot. I've been Cameron. Jeremy's been Jeremy. And we'll be back tomorrow for what is probably going to be the last of the Final Word dailies from New Zealand. We'll see you and speak to you again then.